Okay, so I'll just run through with external painting. So I've got the Jackson Biltmore floor plan here. So I'll just move through the different cost centres. So this has got a few items in it already. I'll just run through these ones and any extra items that I need to include. So we've got paint downpipe single story. Now this is for when we've got downpipes on a house that don't run the whole way along the building. So so we would use that item on downpipes like this. So there shouldn't be two downpipes there, but you can see that they only run one story. And if the downpipe runs through all levels, then you use, so this one here would be, oh no, not that one. This one here would be the 2-story downpipe. Same with this one. Whereas if it just runs over one level, you just use the single item. So that's just a quantity count. So along the garage, it would just be one single story and then the double story. It's the same price anyway, so it's basically just a double quantity. Then we've got stain and seal the external timber door. So this is just for a standard entry door, not a large pivot door or anything like that, just a standard 2400 high by 820 entry door. So we would use that item on this front door scenario here. Now it wouldn't include the side light, so that one we would actually need how we've got the frame here, we just need one with a side light. So we've got external door frame and side light. So we would actually use that item there. That would be the correct item. Then, so that's the front door frame and side light to be painted. And then if it was stain grade, we would use that one. And so both those items are in black, so that's the correct one. Oh, it did actually have the correct item in there. Anyway, so that would be if the front door was paint grade, and that one would be if it's stain grade and going to be stained. Next item we have is external door and frame. So this would be if you just had a single front door that without a side light, or in this house we've got I don't know if we've actually got a laundry door in this house, but it would be your laundry door or your garage door. So it would be that door there would be classed under just a door and frame. So that's the only one we've got there. The rest of them are internal doors. Then we've got paint, eave, and ceiling. So this is for all external ceilings, and it is a square meterage price. So for this one, we would cover the balcony ceiling. Then we would go to the ground floor. We would cover the alfresco ceiling. We would cover this ceiling here, which has got a roof over it. I think that one does as well. And the porch ceiling, and then all the eaves. So you can calculate that just by doing the perimeter of the upper level by the width of the eave. Next item we have is all your, so we don't actually have any timber cladding on this one. We've just got fibre cement cladding. So that would just be a neat calculation for all of the external walls. And for this, we do remove all windows, all garage doors, all timber doors, And then obviously we don't include areas like the brick cladding or anywhere where there's roof showing. So that we can just basically, you can just work out all the areas, add them all up. You can use them as many times as you want. You can actually just keep that line going and work through all of your little areas here. So you could, in Bluebeam, you can mark up your areas. So you could colour in that area and put in a square meterage, colour in that area, put in a square meterage. So you can just keep creating as many line items as you need. And then you can use this button here, up the top here, and you can combine all like quantities. So you can be happy that you've done all your takeoffs, and you can even screenshot that and save it in the estimating folder so that you've got a copy of all the areas that you've done. And then you can condense it all so the purchase order is not very big if you want. So the next item is timber posts. So this is just a lineal meterage price. So you would just review the plans and work out the lineal meterage of all of these timber posts. So you just work your way. So you could do it either off the floor plan or off the elevations to calculate your total lengths here. So it's just that distance to that distance. So it's just lineal meterage. Then you would do beams. Now for this house, we didn't have fantastic details in terms of exactly where that was going to be covered. We've just 100% allowed for the beam to be on the back of the alfresco. So we, no, I think we decided that there wasn't one there. So it would just be this area here. We would have a beam. So that would just be, that is a lineal meterage for the front deck area there. So I'd just be doing a lineal meterage from, I think I'd have all three sides there. Let me just check. Yeah, so you can see here you've got a beam, so all three sides along there, and that will just provide coverage for there. Then we have your French doors. So we've got, that's just a quantity of a pair. Then you've got external balustrade. That's just your lineal meterage along the front here. Now let me just see anything else in here that I think should be here. So depending on the letterbox, you may need to paint the letterbox. That would be if it's a rendered letterbox. If they upgrade to pivot doors, you just have to use a more expensive item. It's a much bigger door. Window hoods, that depends. I don't think this house has got any window hoods. These are all just standard details, but if you did have any sort of window hoods like this sort of thing, then you would allow for that as a window hood. I usually do these sorts of ones if they're rendered. I'll usually just calculate them as a paint render price, but any of these sorts of ones, that's just to paint all of this and the underside of here to be covered in that price. Okay, so the next item, concrete sleeper retaining walls. This is just a square meterage. We don't allow this in our standard diamond bill of quantities, but it can often be required for when we actually come to do a sales estimate. The rest of them, timber fencing, we're not allowing. Timber screening, that's usually a DA requirement. That's just a square meterage. So you actually double the square meterage if you need it painted on both sides. Paint over AAC, so that's the Hebel-like products. So we don't use much of that here, but it's certainly a good price to have. Render, again, we don't have many of that that are actually shown on our standard designs, but that's again just a neat square meterage. That's probably the main sorts of ones that we have externally. For any renovation work, we get that quoted because there can be a lot of extra preparation. You can have steel posts in there. I think this house does have some steel posts. So we actually mark that on the floor plan. You can see here we've got our timber posts, and then we've got our steel posts. So I think on this particular design, we've got steel posts internally in the house, so we don't need to paint those ones. But if a client wanted steel posts in the back veranda or something like that, then you would just need to allow it. This house won't need any because they're actually in internal steel posts. The fascia and mouldings is if there's any additional. So this fascia here is actually supplied by the roofing company, but we supply this as a piece of timber fascia, and that will need to be included in the job. So that would just be a lineal meterage of that area there using this paint, fascia, and mouldings price. Now this does have a few gable vents, so we'll add those ones in here. And just delete all of those because they're not needed. So the gable vents are these features here. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, your house is much more modern. Yeah, this is a traditional Hampton style. So often we'll put these gable vents on a Hampton style. But yes, 100%. I believe on your one you've got parapets. So just a note with your parapets as well, you just need to allow for painting on the inside of those as well, as in like, let me just pull up your one. You have the what are we doing? Brooklyn? Where are your plans saved? Did you save? There we go. Yep. Yep. That's all right. I'll look at them. Yeah. So you will have things like, depending on what material we're using for that, whether it's a rendered product or a pre-finished metal product, we'll just need to allow for that to be painted depending on how it's going to be done. If this is going to be painted or stained, we'll just need to allow for that. When you're doing your ceilings, your external ceilings, that will just need to be calculated on the rake because it's obviously not flat square meterage in terms of that. Parapets, so if you can see, there you go, on a roofing plan, you'll see that we're actually, we'll need to paint the inside of that as well, not just the front of it. So, how well is that documented? Oh, so you don't even have a roofing layout. Okay. Um, that's all right. So I would just allow a little bit extra. Um, how is that? No, it would just be we just do it out of fibre cement. So that's just 6 millimetre fibre cement sheeting. Let me see if I can get you any better information on. Ah, lost it. Okay, this is the world's smallest parapet wall. And just see if I can get a bigger detail for you. It's not great. That's even smaller than when I was looking at it. So yeah, essentially we build this wall. We basically extend the frame and we just keep going, and then we wrap it in FC. So this back here will need to be painted as well. Um, Not really seeing anything that kind of helps you. But yeah, so we'll be. This is not how we build them in Australia. We tend to just build the facade, but you can see the inside of there all needs cladding as well. Um, yeah, these are all pretty small, sort of old fashioned ones. But yeah, we tend to do this sort of thing and then have essentially just fibre cement sheeting on the inside so that you can, it just looks nice and clean lines, but not actually have. Yeah, I'll have to get you a picture of that. I will have to find a bit of detail. But yes, if you allow for a carpenter to install fibre cement on the inside and then just allow for a painted fibre cement, so I would just calculate that. It's very hard to see, but I'd probably just calculate like that area and then that height and then just times it by the length from the elevations there. That's probably, I think, all you could do. I'd probably put a note that it would be really good to get sectional detail and a roof layout. Is that something you've already asked for anyway? Because you probably, like, this roof won't, this roof is probably going to do something like, normally it'll like drain down or something like that. It's You'll need a bit more information in how that's actually going to work. Um, yeah, I'd probably try and get a bit more information on that. I can't really see from these plans how that's actually going to work. All right, now where were we? Yeah, so you do the fibre cement. You've got a lot of raked eaves on this house as well. So when you're doing your you can't just you know how I said in my one just times the eaves by 450. You just have to work out what that actual dimension is there rather than do the quick way like I did it. So if you just so I've done that as 450, but you'll just actually need to take a measurement there to calculate the actual area of your eaves, because it might be slightly more. Okay, what other areas? So was this going to get done in aluminium? Is that what's included there? Glass balustrading, brick veneer, lightweight cladding. So that's not noted, that battens. So if that's going to be timber, we'll just have to allow for that to get painted. If it's going to be aluminium, then that's all good, that will be included. And then again, we'll just need to confirm what we're doing here, whether we're using EPS, which is the expanded polystyrene. Have you used those window hoods? So these basically are a product that we get a frame that's supplied that we bolt on to our frame, and then you basically just slide this in over the top. So this is Polytech. This is actually a company that we might use for this, and it's polystyrene. No, it's polystyrene. Yeah, so there you can see the brackets and a rod, and then basically this is cladding here, but basically this just slides onto the rod and then gets glued in place. So you can see the sealant between the sun hood and the panel. So this is basically, this panel here is instead of brickwork, and then you can render this, and it looks, like yes, so it's just a nice lightweight version of. I'm just trying to find one that's all rendered, but they've all used different ones. But basically, you can just render the whole wall, and then it all looks very similar. So that is probably what I imagine we'll use for this. I'm not too sure. There's a few different products that we can use. So that's just a window hood. So, all right. Anything else you needed to look at? That won't be fascia, that will be cladding. We'll put cladding along the front there for this style of house. Yeah, so you won't need that timber fascia on the front balcony like I had. You won't need the timber fascia there. You'll just use your FC. You can see continues lines up. So you'll just do your FC for that big whole area there. And obviously behind that. And that is about it, I think, in terms of the differences. And then we'll go on to I think that's pretty much all you would need. And then the internal. So we've got your handrails. That's inside the house along the stairs. You've got your internals, which doesn't have a quantity generator, but we'll just quickly create that one for you. So we've got that already set up in Builder's Clean. I've got that one there, so it's just all the internals. So I'll copy that, and then we'll just go into our catalogue. Internals, there we go. So that's our painting cost center. We just go into the template and you just copy paste. Oh, it is missing the quantity generator note, which I'll just steal from here, which is quantity generator. So you just need to put that in the front of it. and then that will get us to automatically calculate that. So I'm just going to copy that because I want to put it in for the defects as well, which was in the same cost center. Yes, yeah, 100%. So that it won't show up because it actually comes up in the quantity generator tab. So it's like the specification note and everything in this specification. If we don't have all this at the start, it doesn't show up, even though you can't see it a lot of the time here. Um, yes. Okay. Yep. So now that I've just done that, you'll see if you go into here, you'll be able to see that in the template. And then if I close this and now if I go into my painting cost center, all right, so I'm in my painting cost center. If I go into here and click on there, you can see that nothing's come up. Okay, so nothing has actually registered. We've not told data build that we've done an update. So in order to get that quantity generator to appear, if you go Control T, that puts in the template, which isn't coming through because I'll just close this and reopen it. Just let me do this and it'll sort of maybe reappear. Okay, so we've gone in there. If we go to internals, quantity generator, Control T, still not coming up. So we might just have to close data build and reopen it, and then it will appear. Or wait a minute. Marby, I just got my passport. No, needed to wait till my passport arrived. Exciting. Awesome. All right. I don't know. We'll have to look actually. Okay, I'm just going to drop these items in again. Maybe it's just not. There you go. Okay, so I've just dropped that item in and now the internal appears properly. I'm not sure why that wasn't appearing, but you can see that it hasn't updated the quantity. Okay, so to get no, that's all good. So what we need to do is we just need to run the quantity generator. So it doesn't automatically calculate all this for you. So have you gone generate quantities this cost center? See, it's updated it there. Now, and the other point is that the sort of first step. So why initially we were talking about us creating a calculator was that at the start of a job, you could go into this load job variable screen and we could put all these numbers in initially. So we make yeah. So once you've inputted your variables, you should be able to go to this and generate quantities for this cost center or this job. And that should run that and that should work for you. Yep. Yep. So let me just see. Maybe I need to do a little bit more work on that one just to make it a little bit obvious. But anyway, we'll get that sorted. So the aim of the game is to put as much here. We'll create lots and lots of more variables so that basically if you enter something once, you might as well just do it as a quantity generator so that it automatically enters in for you. So when we build our new calculator, our new estimating calculator, we'll get it to work with this, because I'm pretty sure you could even use your Excel calculator, and you could import this information in so that it automatically does it for you, so you don't even need to enter it in manually, but we'll figure that out later. And then that gets as many of your numbers in your job as possible. But now, if you copy this from the Jackson Biltmore, so now that I have this quantity generator shown on this item, it will copy that across. So remember with concrete, how I said I'm not going to put it against the item, because when we run a quantity generator, we'll run it all the time. I'm happy for this to be allocated against the item because it's always going to look like that. So you can either put it against the item, so you can update the item in the catalogue if it's always going to be calculated in the same way. If it's not going to be calculated in the same way, or if we use this item for lots of different things like delivery or something like that, then you can always just use it on this job, and like I did with the concrete calculation, because we can use that in a few different cost centres. Okay, so the defects touch up, this is just an allowance. This is because we have timber flooring. They don't install the skirting to the floor. So let me just show you what that one looks like. So which item are you, this skirting one here that I'm on now? Oh, that's an allowance. That's just, yeah, so that's based on yeah, it was just a 10%, which gives us, so I can put that in the quantity generator for sure. I can, no, you can put it in the quantity generator, and seeing as now you know how to do it. Are you happy to do that? Yeah, can you put it in with the catalogue, and then it'll always be 100% correct moving forward. All right, awesome. Yep. Yeah, so this is, it's basically return to site cost. So if you look, where I just had it. Here we go. Okay, so they don't put in this timber skirting until after this flooring is laid. Now, we lay this at the very end, and then they come back and put the skirting in, and they have to very carefully paint it. It's so that there's no gap between the floorboards and the timber skirting. So that's what that money is. That is for that, basically for the guys to, for a few painters to come back to the site once they've already finished, and to very carefully paint all the skirting without getting paint on the floor. Okay. All right. So I think that's pretty much all in terms of, there's different finishes for your handrails, your timber treads, you're painting your timber treads and staining them. We'll use that when we create the recipe for the Hampton style stairs, but for the standard stairs, we're just using this cost center, and this is sanding the stairs and then putting a few coats of a sealer, which we use a special slip resistant one. So all floor coverings in Australia need to have a special certificate to basically confirm that they comply with slip requirements. So they have a grit, like a sand type product, actually mixed in with the final layer on the stairs so that the stairs aren't slippy. So they look beautiful. They're, they're a nice shiny finish, but yeah, they just a little bit of a slip resistance there so that people don't slide down the stairs. All right. Well, I think that is probably everything for that cost center then. Are you happy with that?